All right, so today we're going to jump into a really interesting framework called the everything theory. Now, this isn't about, magically changing reality or anything like that. Instead, it offers a totally different way to look at how we experience reality and our own place in it. So, yeah, let's dive right in.
So, the theory kicks off with a pretty unsettling question. We all like to feel like we're in the driver's seat of our own lives, right? Making our own choices, steering our own ship. But what if that feeling of total control isn't really the whole story? What if there's something else going on just beneath the surface? And that brings us right to the heart of it. We're pretty much taught to think of our will, our creativity, as the engine that drives our life. It's the spark, the thing that starts it all. But this theory, it flips that idea completely on its head. It suggests that our will isn't the cause at all. It's the effect. Okay, to really get this, the theory asks us to imagine reality as being split into two totally different states. There's the now, and then there's the not now. And honestly, understanding the difference between these two is the absolute key to unlocking this whole thing. Think of it like this. Imagine reality as a movie playing at full speed. The theory calls that seamless, unbroken flow, everything, or the now. It's just one continuous thing. But here's the twist. We don't actually experience the world that way. We live in what's called everything, or the not now. And that's like living inside a single paused frame of the movie, where everything is separated out into individual defined objects. So how in the world do we get from that flowing movie to the frozen frame that we actually live in? Well, the theory says we do it through an act it calls naming. It's kind of like this. Your mind doesn't just see a landscape, it performs this kind of metaphysical surgery. It carves out a tree, it defines a cup, it identifies a person. It literally cuts the unified whole into all the individual things that make up your world. Okay, so our world is made up of all these individual things that our minds have named. But what are they made of? What are the actual fundamental components? Let's peel back another layer and look at the anatomy of a thing. The principle here is actually super simple, but it's also pretty profound. Every single thing in our reality, and I mean everything, from a tiny particle to a massive galaxy, is a building block made up of a triad. It's three interconnected forces, all held in this constant state of tension with each other. So here they are, the big three. First up is sound. And we're not just talking about what you hear. Think of it more like the underlying vibration, the unique pattern or rotation that gives something its specific form. Second, we've got energy, which is a bit more straightforward. That's the workforce, the power that lets a thing act and do stuff. And third, there's gravity. This is the glue, the binding force that holds the whole package together. So what happens when these three forces find just the right balance? You've got the outward push of sound and energy and the inward pull of gravity. Well, when they lock into a stable arrangement, that's when a thing truly pops into existence. And in that very moment of creation, light is given off. Pretty cool, huh? So we have the building blocks of reality. We have the things. But how does our mind take all that raw material and turn it into the world we actually experience day to day? This brings us to our final clue, the universal mental engine that's running inside all of us. Okay, check this out. A quarter of a second. That is the tiny, completely imperceptible delay between something happening out there and your brain actually processing it. It feels instant, right? But it's not. And what this really suggests is that what we call reality isn't a live stream at all. It's more like a memory, played back to us just a fraction of a second late. And this all happens in a constant, ridiculously fast three-step cycle. First, you become aware of some raw stimulus, let's say a flash of red light. Second, your brain instantly searches its entire life's database to name it. Oh, that's a stop sign. And then third, you engage with that meaning. You hit the brakes. And then, boom, the cycle starts all over again, over and over all day long. So we've got the universal building blocks, and we've got the universal mental process. Now let's put it all together for the big reveal. Let's see how these universal parts come together to create a reality that is completely, 100% uniquely yours. So let's build the formula for your personal reality. We start with the raw materials, the ingredients that are the same for everybody. That's the constant dance of sound, energy, and gravity that makes up all the matter in the universe. But then we add this secret ingredient, the one that changes everything, your unique personal history. This is the massive database of experiences you've been building since the moment you were born, your timestamp, the second you became a physically separate being. And when you combine those universal building blocks with your unique personal filters, what do you get? You get what the theory calls your singularity. This is your reality, a unique output that nobody else in the history of the world can or will ever experience in the exact same way. So here's the bottom line. Because no two people have the exact same life story or the same health or the same environment, no two of those naming databases are identical. It means we're not all living in one big shared reality. We are each living inside our own personal story, one that we build ourselves one reaction at a time. So you might be thinking, okay, this is some pretty mind-bending stuff, but so what? Why does any of it matter? Well, now that we've kind of laid out the mystery, we can see the practical side of it. The whole point isn't just to understand it, it's to use it to find some genuine peace of mind. What this theory really encourages is a huge shift in how you see the world. I mean, society loves to hand us this prepackaged idea of right versus wrong, but this framework, it gives you the tools to build your own compass, one that's based on a much deeper question. What is actually right for me, based on my unique makeup? And this isn't some one-and-done decision. It's a constant process. Think about it like water dripping on a rock. Every single one of those awareness cycles, every stimulus, every reaction, is just a single drop. But over a lifetime, those millions and millions of drops gradually carve out and shape the very stone of who you are. Which leaves us with one last question to chew on. If your reality is a story, and if your own will is actually just a complex reaction to a world of things that you yourself have named and defined based on your past, then who or what is really writing your story?